A peaceful afternoon at a shopping plaza becomes the starting point of a nightmare you're about to witness when a pregnant woman is shoved violently down a flight of stairs by hands that don't belong to a stranger. But as she tumbles through the air, desperately protecting her swelling belly, she catches a glimpse of the face above her, and it's someone she knows. What follows is not just an accident. It is the unraveling of a betrayal so deep that every promise ever made begins to shatter. This is a story about deception, courage, and the moment a mother's instinct becomes unstoppable. So settle in, turn up the volume, and tell us what time you're watching and where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment below. We would love to hear from you. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the outdoor mall. Emma stepped carefully down the wide staircase, one hand gripping the railing while the other cradled her 7-month belly. Her doctor had warned her to avoid crowds, to rest more, to listen to her body. But she had needed this 1 hour of normalcy, 1 hour of shopping for tiny clothes that made the future feel real. She paused on the landing, adjusting the shopping bag hanging from her wrist. Below her, families strolled past fountain displays. Laughter echoed off stone walls. Everything felt safe, ordinary. Then she felt it, hands against her back, not accidental, not gentle. A deliberate, forceful shove. Her body lurched forward. The railing slipped from her grasp. Time fractured into terrible slow motion as her feet left the ground. She twisted instinctively, arms curling around her stomach, trying desperately to protect what mattered most. She hit the steps hard. Pain exploded through her shoulder, her hip, her spine. The world became a blur of concrete and sky as she tumbled downward. Her bag flew from her hand, its contents scattering like pieces of a life suddenly broken. When she finally stopped rolling, she lay crumpled at the bottom of the stairs. Sound rushed back in screams, running footsteps, someone shouting for help. Her vision swam, every breath felt like glass cutting through her chest. Her first thought wasn't about herself. It was about the baby. Her hands trembled as they pressed against her belly, searching desperately for movement, for any sign of life. Then she heard footsteps descending slowly, deliberately. She forced her eyes open and looked up. Her sister-in-law stood 3 steps above her, staring down with an expression that held no shock, no horror. Only cold satisfaction mixed with something darker, resentment that had finally found its release. Emma's breath caught. "Why?" she whispered, her sister-in-law's lips curved slightly, not a smile, something colder. She crouched down close enough that only Emma could hear. "You have everything I should have had," she whispered. "His name, his money, his child." Her eyes drifted to Emma's belly. "But accidents happen, and without you, without this baby, everything goes back to where it belongs." A man nearby shouted, "Someone call an ambulance," but his voice felt distant, muffled under the rushing blood in Emma's ears. Her sister-in-law stood, brushed invisible dust from her coat, and looked down one last time. "You should have been more careful." Then she turned and disappeared into the gathering crowd. Emma woke to fluorescent lights and the steady beep of monitors. A hospital. Her hand flew immediately to her stomach. After a terrifying moment of stillness, she felt it, a small flutter, movement, life. Relief crashed through her so intensely she had to close her eyes against tears. The door opened. A nurse entered, checking her chart. "You're awake. Try not to move too quickly. You experienced significant trauma." "My baby," Emma's voice cracked. "Is my baby okay?" "We're monitoring you both closely," the nurse replied gently. "Right now, the heartbeat is strong." "That's a very good sign," Emma exhaled shakily. "Did you call my husband?" "We left multiple messages, no answer yet." A cold weight settled in Emma's chest. Her husband always answered, always, unless he already knew what happened, unless he had been expecting this call. When her husband finally arrived hours later, his performance was flawless. Concern creased his forehead, worry filled his eyes. He rushed to her bedside, taking her hand. "My God, Emma, I came as soon as I heard." "Are you all right?" She studied his face carefully. "Where were you?" "Meetings all afternoon. My phone was on silent." His thumb brushed her knuckles. "Who would do something like that?" But there was something in his tone, not quite surprise, not quite confusion, just the right amount of rehearsed shock. "It was your sister," Emma said quietly. He stiffened. For just a heartbeat, his mask slipped. Then he recovered. "That's impossible. She wouldn't." "She told me why." Emma's voice strengthened. "Said I have everything that should have been hers." His jaw tightened. "You're confused. The fall. I know what I heard." Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. He pulled it from his pocket, glanced at the screen, and his expression changed. He stood abruptly. "I need to take this." He stepped into the hallway, but Emma could hear fragments through the door, his voice low and sharp. "I told you to wait." "No, not here. Handle it." When he returned, his mask was back in place, but Emma had seen enough. That night after he left, Emma's mother arrived. She listened to everything, face growing paler with each word. "We need proof," her mother whispered. Emma nodded slowly. An idea formed, dangerous but necessary. The next morning, her husband returned. Emma was ready. Her phone sat hidden beneath her blanket, recording. He approached the bed with forced tenderness. "How are you feeling?" "Scared," she admitted. "Your sister tried to kill me." His expression hardened. "Stop saying that. You're making yourself look unstable." "Am I?" He leaned closer, voice dropping. "Emma, listen carefully. My sister has a history of emotional problems. If you keep making accusations, people will think the pregnancy has made you paranoid." Her pulse quickened. "So you're going to gaslight me?" "I'm trying to protect you from embarrassing yourself." His tone turned sharp. "Without proof, you're just a hysterical pregnant woman pointing fingers. And if I find proof," his eyes flashed cold, "then you'll wish you hadn't." Emma's hand trembled beneath the blanket, but she kept her voice steady. "Is that a threat?" He straightened slowly. "It's advice. Drop this, Emma, for your own good." When he left, Emma stopped the recording with shaking fingers. She had what she needed. Her mother helped her contact the police. The recording changed everything. Within hours, officers arrived at the hospital with a search warrant for her husband's property. What they found shattered any remaining doubt. Text messages between him and his sister, planning the accident. Bank records showing recent large transfers to her. An insurance policy on Emma's life, recently increased to $2 million with her husband as the sole beneficiary. The sister was arrested first, trying to flee the state. Her composure crumbled immediately. She confessed everything. The plan, the money, the promise that once Emma was gone, she and her brother would split the inheritance their father had left solely to him. Her husband was arrested at his office. Cameras captured him being led out in handcuffs, screaming about false accusations as reporters surrounded him. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Emma testified, voice steady despite her fear. She told her story, played the recording, presented the evidence that couldn't be erased or explained away. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes, guilty on all counts. Her husband received 25 years, his sister 15. 6 months later, Emma stood on a small stage in a community center, holding her newborn son against her chest. Sunlight streamed through the windows, warm and clean. "Thank you all for being here," she said softly into the microphone. "This center exists because I survived, because people believed me, because the truth refused to stay buried." She looked down at her sleeping baby, then back at the crowd of supporters, survivors, and advocates gathered before her. "I was almost erased by someone I trusted, but I'm standing here today to tell you your voice matters, your truth matters, you matter." Tears streamed down her face, but she smiled through them. Surviving isn't just living through something terrible, it's choosing to build something beautiful from the wreckage. The crowd erupted in applause. Emma held her son closer, breathing in his baby scent, feeling his heartbeat against hers. She had survived, they both had, and now they would thrive. If this story moved you, if you've ever felt silenced or afraid, drop a comment below. Tell us your truth, share your strength. You are not alone, and your story deserves to be heard. What time are you watching? Where are you from? Let's build this community together.